If you are a coach and you do hot seat coaching calls and you find that all of the people who are not currently being coached are scrolling Instagram or checking their email and they're not actively engaging in the calls, this podcast episode is for you because it's going to help you reframe how you think about calls so that you can make them more engaging, you can keep them more interesting, and really help your clients get better results and really help them reach their goals. Welcome back to another episode of the Cozypreneur podcast. If this is your first time listening, Cozypreneur is all about helping you make money and work with the dreamiest of clients. So grab your beverage, get your cozy socks on, and let's dive in. So there are a lot of good things about hot seat coaching. So I don't want to knock hot seat coaching because one is you are getting individualized support. So you have a turn. And if you don't know what hot seat coaching is, basically it goes in a circle and everybody takes a turn and gets coached by the coach. And so one of the great things about hot seat coaching is you get that personalized experience and you get that personalized advice. The other really great thing is that you hear other people getting coached as well. And so you might start to see okay, this person is doing something in a way that I didn't really think about and I never considered it in this way. And maybe I should think about how I can do this in my business or in my life differently. And so there are a lot of benefits to hot seat coaching, but I do find that when you are going to hot seat coaching week after week after week after week, it does get a little bit tedious, right? And you start to lose people because they start to get to know each other's businesses so well and whatever, they don't need to really pay attention to it. They will just pay attention when it's their turn. So how do you actually get people to pay attention the whole time and actually get them to deepen their thinking and deepen their learning? So if you haven't listened to the episode on educational design, go back and listen to that one because it is going to help you think about the brain and how you can design effective learning experiences for your clients. But this episode is all about how you can implement that educational design in your calls so that you can help people get better results and reach their goals faster. So one thing that you can do is actually using protocols. And so protocols sounds super fancy and super serious and super boring, but protocols are actually really, really effective for facilitating groups of people. And so while there is not a huge amount of protocols for the online space, virtual learning is not that old. It's only a few years old, really, when everybody had to do it. There are ways that protocols can really help build independence in your group. And so one of the things that protocols can do is actually make your role as the coach a little bit smaller and help other people talk to each other more. Because when you think about a mastermind, that's really the goal of a mastermind, is to have everybody learn from each other. And so how do you actually do that on calls? One example of a protocol is called Making Meaning. It is by the SRI School Reform Initiative. There's so many protocols in the education space. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to tell you how to adapt it to your calls. So basically, the protocol is where somebody is going to bring in a piece of content. And so it can be, if you are B2B, it could be like an Instagram content, it could be an email, it can be whatever it is. If you are B2C, maybe it's their weekly schedule, maybe it's their grocery list, right? So thinking about different things that people could bring in and that you could actually work on. And then have that person talk about their content, have that person talk about their thinking behind the content, and then that person is actually going to take a back seat. And what's going to happen is the other people, the peers in the group, are going to talk about the content for that person. And so they might talk about, one, what do they actually see? What do they actually hear? Two, what does this mean for their ideal client, right? So what is the message that's going across? And then maybe three, what would you change about this? What should the author consider about this? And just giving their own sorts of coaching, right? And then at the end, have the original person who's been listening this whole time to this conversation about their content, have them respond back and say, hey, this is what I took away from all of your conversations. This is what I'm thinking about now. And then at the end of all of that, that is where you can give your 2 cents of your coaching. And so it really starts to take away some of that responsibility of coaching away from you and onto your clients. Because one of the things about education is that teaching somebody else something is going to help you learn. And sometimes you're so stuck in your own stuff, like your own business, your own life, that it's hard to see other perspectives. And so sometimes it's easier to give feedback on somebody else that's doing the same thing as you than actually your own version. And so that peer-to-peer is actually going to strengthen learning, and it's going to get everybody more involved. And then you as the facilitator can kind of step in at the end and say, hey, here's something else that all of you haven't considered that I would recommend, right? And so you're automatically getting lots of people in to have the conversation. They're thinking about it more, and they need to show up. They can't be like, you can't be thinking that hard and also scrolling Instagram and also checking your email. So that is one example. You can also do things if you have a larger group. Breakout rooms are great ways to get more engagement, right? So have people in the elementary classrooms, it's called think, pair, share. So have people think for 30 seconds, maybe brainstorm, maybe write things down, and then pair them up in breakout rooms, have them talk about their ideas, and then come back to the larger group. So even if people don't feel comfortable sharing in the larger group, they still got that opportunity in the breakout room to share their ideas, to think about it, to hear somebody else's perspective. Another thing that you can do is role playing. Role playing is something that I hate so much. It irks me. It feels so uncomfortable. I am not a drama person, but it's also one of the best ways to learn. And I will say that if it weren't for my coach making me do sales role plays, I probably would still suck at sales. But because I was put into these uncomfortable situations that were actually in a safe space, and I could practice my skills, and then I could get feedback on those skills without it being like a real sales conversation, then I was able to get so much better. And so having your clients role play, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it feels weird, right? Even if it's a little bit silly, just try it out. And that's a good way for them to practice. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. It doesn't necessarily have to be a protocol. You can also use interactive activities. So for example, in the brand project, in the first call, one of the things that we talked about was our brand values and what does it mean for how we show up. And so one of the interactive activities that we did was we actually formed a word cloud together. And so I set it up so that everybody could type into this word cloud and then it would show up on the screen. And so words that more than one person came in would show up bigger, and words that only one person wrote would show up smaller. And so it was a cool community building exercise because you got to see like, okay, this is how people are thinking about their role and their values in business. And we actually have a lot in common, and there are values that are the same, which is probably why we ended up in the same space, right? Inside the same program, because we have similar values. But just having that as a way to think about values and as a way for them to see like, okay, this is what other business owners are thinking about, and this is how other people see it. That's going to help expand their thinking instead of me just being like, hey, here's a list of values. Think about what your values are. So instead of doing that, we did something interactive. We did something engaging. The other thing you can do is polls. Polls are a great way to check for understanding, to check how people are feeling about things, to see if, they need more support. Games. I love games. I do a lot of community building inside my live courses. If you were around earlier this year, we did a donut party when I got to 1,000 followers. That was super fun. And it was just like a nice community. We played trivia. So things like that are super engaging and help build that community piece. And then you can also switch it up and have, your clients lead a call. Maybe ask them if they want to lead a call, if they want to share what it is that they are learning in with the group, and thinking about that in that way. So basically, when you are thinking about your role as a facilitator, yes, you can do hot seat coaching every week in your mastermind, or you can think about what are the ways that I can actually engage people and have them participate more and have them really be present on this call, because being present, showing up, participation, those are all the things that are going to help your clients get to their goals faster, right? That's what's going to help them foster independence. That's what's going to help them feel like, okay, yes, I can do this. And that's the thing with peer-to-peer learning, right? So if you're teaching it to somebody else, you're like, oh, maybe it's not so hard. Maybe I actually do know how to apply this in my own business. And so those are just some things to think about. If you have any questions about it, you can DM me. Definitely play around with it. See what's gonna be more interesting for your clients. So those are the things that I would do to make your mastermind calls more engaging. So just switch it up from not being hot seat coaching all of the time and really think about how can you engage everybody throughout the whole call. And even if it's just like type into the chat instead of unmuting yourself, right? You can have different levels of how people can participate, but opening up different ways for people and have fun with it so that your clients really get a great experience when they are working with you. If you need help with any of this, feel free to DM me. Let me know what questions you have. I am happy to continue the conversation. And otherwise, I will talk to you next time. That's a wrap on today's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to rate and leave a review on your preferred listening platform. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe for weekly episodes about how to make money and work with the dreamiest of clients without having to get dressed in the morning. Make sure to check out the show notes down below, and I'll see you in the next episode.